Mega Evolutions are back in the TCG, and what better way to celebrate than with one of the best events of the whole year, pre-releases. These events are honestly some of the most fun you'll have playing games. Everyone's on a level playing field, you get to try out brand new cards before they hit store shelves, and sometimes you'll even walk away with more packs than you came in for. I'll explain how that all works a little bit later, so make sure to stick around to the end. Now in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what pre-releases are, what you'll need to bring, how you can find one, and then we'll dive into every single kit from the Mega Evolution set. I'll also give my recommendations on what to add if you pull certain cards and what you can cut to make room for them. And hey, if you're already a pre-release pro and just want to skip straight to the kit breakdowns, I've left some handy bookmarks so that you can do that. But before you skip ahead, make sure to boot that subscribe button for me. Sound like a deal? But now let's get into it. A pre-release is a special event held at your local card shop in the 2-week lead up to a new set. Instead of bringing your own deck, you're going to get what's called a build and battle kit. That kit includes a pre-built 40 card deck and 4 booster packs from the new set. Your challenge is to make a 40 card deck using just that kit and those packs. You can literally just sleeve up that kit though, or tweak it with some of your pulls, and I'll be guiding you through those decisions today. Games at pre-releases are also played a little bit differently to the standard format. Instead of having 6 prize cards, you're only going to put out 4. Think of it like this, for every 10 cards that are in a deck, you're going to have 1 prize card. So standard decks have 60 cards, they have 6 prizes. Pre-releases have 40 cards, so yeah, 4 prizes. Kind of simple math, and it keeps games fun and fast. And unlike in standard, there isn't a 4-copy rule limit to the cards in your deck, because typically if a card has the same name, you only get 4 copies of it or your deck's illegal. If you somehow manage to open 6 Sobbles at a pre-release though, you can absolutely sleeve up 6 Sobbles, and yes, just have a bench full of those adorable little whatever Sobble is. I want to say frog, but maybe it's just a lizard. Almost been too long and now it's kind of awkward to ask, so yeah, he's a frog. Now, how do you actually find these events though? There's a few ways you can go about this. You can check Pokemon's official event finder guide, which I'll have a link in the description below. If I forget to, just ping me in the comments to remind me, or you can just Google it. Pokemon pre-releases near you and should be good. You can also check your local card shop's website or their Facebook page, or even just pop in and ask someone at the shop, hey, are you guys doing a pre-release? And they'll be like, yep, and you're good to go. Most stores run a couple pre-release events across the week leading up to it, or leading up to the release, but spots can be a little bit limited, so sign up early if they offer pre-registration. And if you're unsure about anything, don't stress. Just ask the store staff, they'll be more than happy to help you, walk through the registration process and the event structure, or I can try and help you if you've got some questions. Now, if you've never played the Pokemon TCG in person and have just been playing PTCGL or just collecting cards for a while, there's a couple things you're going to want to bring to the event with you. First up is sleeves. These help protect your cards from damage and make them way easier to pick up off the table. You'll also need some dice. They're used to track damage counters as well as to do coin flips. Tip for that is evens is heads and odds is tails. If you're actually flipping a coin, it's going to go all over the place and it becomes a whole thing, so just use dice. Next up is status condition markers for poison and for burn. Sleep, paralysis, and confusion, you just kind of move your card around, but for poison and burn, you do actually need markers to remember to put the damage between turns. Most shops or players typically have spares of these because you kind of just accumulate them over time, so don't stress if you don't have any yet, but if you want to get some for yourself, the easiest way to pick them up is getting what's called an Elite Trainer Box, or ETB. ETBs come with dice, status condition markers, sleeves, and you also get some booster packs. Just make sure that you don't use those at the pre-release because you can only use the packs from your kit. But now let's talk about those sleeves again. The sleeves in ETBs aren't typically the best quality. They get the job done, but if you want some good sleeves that are actually going to last you past just the pre-release event, I'd highly recommend getting some Dragon Shield sleeves. They shuffle amazingly, they're super durable, and the box they come in doubles as the perfect deck box after. So if you have a 60 card deck, you can pop it in there and you're good to go, or even just keep your pre-release deck in it if you want. And no, I'm not sponsored, I'm just a massive fan. But hey, if you're working at Dragon Shield and watching this video, if you want to talk, like, no, just kidding. Like, unless you actually do, but one other thing that's optional but is an amazing pickup for when going to an event is a playmat. It's not essential, but it makes the game much easier and cleaner, kind of helps keep your play space in order, and protects your cards from going directly on a table. So if someone spills something on a table or it's a bit sticky, you don't have to stress about that. Your playmat's got you covered. If you're after a custom playmat though, I've got you covered there. You can head on over to quackamousepads.com. They make high quality playmats in all shapes and sizes with free shipping to most major countries and dirt cheap shipping to everywhere else. If you use code BBBTCG, you'll save 10% off your order. Now that one actually is a sponsor, but I'm also genuinely a huge fan of their product. Already got 6 playmats myself, so just need one more and then I can have a different one for every day of the week. But like one day without cards, I feel like is kind of healthy. My partner might kick me in the back of the head if I get another one, but we'll see. Now let's quickly cover entry fees. These vary a lot depending on where you live. I'm based in Australia and pre-releases here typically cost between $40 to $50. That covers your kit, the 4 booster packs that are in it, and often some bonus packs if you stick around to the end of the event. Now other parts of the world may charge differently, might be up, might be down, could sideways, I don't really know how that works, and prize support may also vary. I'd love to hear in the comments how entry looks like where you're from. Always fun to compare pre-release experiences around the globe. Now before we dive into the actual kits, we need to talk about something new that Pokemon has done with this set. In the past, pre-release kits have always included your promo card and then 2 different evolutionary lines, one that was tied directly to your promo card and a secondary line that was tied to one of the other promo cards. This usually meant you ended up cutting half your deck to just get something kind of playable. It was like, well, I want to focus on this aspect of it because this other bit just feels weird. And then you put in some extra energies and call it a day. But this time they've gone all in on synergy. Each kit is streamlined around its specific promo card. The filler's all gone, and instead they've packed it with more consistency pieces that actually support your deck. The result is that out of the box, the deck feels like really competent. Honestly, it was kind of tough making some cuts today, which is a huge change compared to older pre-releases. I really hope they keep this structure going forward because it makes the format much more approachable for new players and way more fun for everyone. Like, you can literally just sleeve up your kit and it feels solid. Now we're going to be starting out with the Meganium kit. This kit is all about ramping out energy and hitting way above the curve. Meganium's ability, Wild Growth, doubles the value of your grass energy in play. That means every single attachment goes twice as far, and suddenly all your big attacks are coming online way earlier than they should be. Its main attack, Solar Beam, does 140 damage for 4 energy, but just 2 grass energy because, well, its ability works on itself too. That's enough to one-shot most single prizers in the pre-release format, including other promos like the Lunatone and Alakazam. The kit also includes Executor, which scales damage based on how many grass energy are attached to it. Needs 3 colorless energy to use the attack, doing 60 base damage, then 30 more for each grass attached. So with Meganium in play, you only need 2 grass energy and it's counting for 4, you're doing 180, which is enough to delete basically anything that isn't a Mega Pokemon in the format. And if you're patient and loaded up, you can even handle those 300 plus HP Megas if you really want to. Executor's first attack is also kinda cheeky and a little bit sneakily good. It does 30 damage for just 1 grass energy, so even if Meganium's not online, you can still do some chip damage, and during the next turn, it's gonna take 30 less damage from attacks. This is great at buying a little bit of time while you get online. The kit also includes Delmines, which is a cheap, fast attacker. It does 30 base damage for 2 energy, or just 1 if Meganium's in play, and if you've got a Stadium down, it pumps that damage up to 80. Making it a solid early game option. And then there's also Celebi in this kit, which is one of the best setup cards in any pre-release kit I've ever seen. For just 1 grass energy, you can search your deck for 3 grass Pokemon or Stadiums in any combination you'd like. That means you can grab a Bayleaf and a Meganium to get them online, and the new Stadium card, Forest of Vitality, all at once. On the following turn, you can evolve straight through your line thanks to that Stadium that literally just says, hey, if it's not your first turn of the game, your grass Pokemon can just evolve immediately up. So you can go from a basic to a stage 2 immediately. That's terrifying. You could be doubling your energy as early as turn 2, and if anything gets knocked out, you just use Lana's Aid, you get a full evolution line from the discard pile, and you just immediately evolve it back up again. So it's kind of crazy and absolutely terrifying. Now let's look at the trainers that are in this kit. You're going to be getting Buddy Poffin, letting you search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less, perfect for filling up your board with Chikorritas. Brock Scouting's also in here, getting 2 basic Pokemon. Doesn't care about how much HP they have because it is your supporter for turn, or getting yourself an evolution. Whichever one you're missing, it's kind of a great little bit of flexibility it provides for Pokemon search. Lana's Aid is also in here. It's a great recovery option, getting you 3 in any combination of non-rulebox Pokemon or basic energy, so your Meganium line like we mentioned, or some energy to be charging up your attackers. Absolutely busted in here, like having that Meganium centerpiece, we already touched on that. You're also going to be getting 2 copies of Lily's Determination. This one's actually in all of the kits. It lets you shuffle your hand in the deck and then draw 6 cards. If you have 6 prizes remaining, you get 8, but being a 4 prize format, well, yeah, that's not going to happen, but honestly, solid draw supporter, and this is going to be a staple in Standard, so it's great to get yourself 2 copies in a kit here. Drayton's also showing up here, looking at the top 7 cards of your deck, grabbing a trainer card you find there and a Pokemon, so potentially your Stadium and a Meganium, good times. Lacey showing up here, shuffling your hand into the deck, then drawing 4 cards, or you get to draw 8 if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, so they take a prize, and then, yeah, Lacey's really solid too. And Air Balloon being in here as a way to just quickly retreat your Pokemon. You attach this to a Pokemon, reduces its retreat cost by 2, gives you anything as a pivot option effectively. Now for stadiums, we did already touch on the Forest, but Festival Grounds is in this kit as well. It does feel a little bit out of place, but it makes it so your Pokemon with energy attached to them are immune to special conditions, so like paralysis, poison, sleep, and confusion. Some people will try to spam that in pre-release to buy them a little bit of time and just kind of stall you out. You can just go, hey, this stadium says, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to keep punching you in the face. Bug catching set also in here, great option for grass decks. If you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, grab 2 grass Pokemon or energy you find there and just pop them into your hand. It's a seriously stacked lineup of support cards for this kit. If you pulled any extras of these from your packs, I'd honestly encourage you adding these ones. So more Celebi is great, more Forest of Vitality, that's immediately getting included in here, and some extra copies of the Meganium line is also great to improve your consistency of just getting it online early. Executor may also be worth considering adding in there as a little bit of padding for your secondary attacker, but honestly I'd prioritize more copies of Celebi and the Stadium above everything else. Other pulls to watch for include Mega Kangaskhan. If you happen to get this, it is solid for this kit. Draws 2 cards while it's in the active and swings for 200 base damage with potential to go higher if you high roll on coin flips. Pretty bulky attacker that pairs really well with Meganium's energy acceleration. 3 energy to use the attack, but just 2 grass energy if counting for 4. The attack's online. That's terrifying. Mega Venusaur being another great option for this, but a little bit trickier to pull off since you need to pull the whole evolution line, whereas the Kangaskhan is just the basic. You need the Bulbasaur, the Ivysaur, and the Venusaur. If you do though, that's insane, and its ability lets you move grass energy around from your Pokemon to wherever you want on your board as many times as you'd like during your turn. Combos perfectly with the supporter card Wally as well, who can fully heal a Mega Pokemon but bounces all the energy back into your hand. So before you use it, just move the energy off of Venusaur, then you heal Venusaur if it got hit, then you move the energy back onto Venusaur, and you keep punching your opponent in the face with a massive toad. I think it's a toad. Inteleon and Venusaur, both frogs. Anywho, the Ninjask and Shed Ninja line is also a interesting inclusion you could go for. Ninjask's attack for just 1 grass and a colorless energy, which with Meganium, basically just 1 attachment, can do 90 damage to the active, then switch it out with a Pokemon on your bench. Now with Ninjask, when you evolve into it, you get to search your deck for a Shed Ninja and put it immediately onto your bench. You don't even need the pre-evolution. Now, Shed Ninja's ability makes it so if it gets knocked out by an EX Pokemon, your opponent doesn't take a prize, which is huge in a 4-prize format, and it makes it just like the best pivot option, right? You go Ninjask, hit something, pivot into Shed Ninja. Oh, you're an EX Pokemon? Yeah, you can knock this out. I don't care. You're getting nothing out of this. So, yeah, seems good. Now, if you need to make cuts for this deck, you pull some of these cards and you want to pop them in there, the ones I'd kind of recommend, or maybe 1 to 2 energy cards. Festival Grounds also feeling a little bit out of place. It can probably go and maybe Delmise. Not because they're bad, but because everything else is just so strong, and if you can get extra copies of other things to make your deck a bit more consistent, that should be what you're focusing on. Consistency is... Now next up is Inteleon, the sneaky little sniper that we're calling a frog. Inteleon's main gimmick is the attack Bring Down. It KOs whichever Pokemon has the least HP remaining, and that includes your Pokemon. It does exclude itself though, so he won't literally shoot himself in the foot, but he may shoot you figuratively in the foot by taking out one of your bench guys and giving the opponent a prize. So your goal here is to spread damage around and make sure your opponent always has the lowest HP target in play. Now to help you achieve that, the kit includes Frostmoth. It's going to spread 20 damage to all of your Pokemon, or all of your opponent's Pokemon in play, and also put the active to sleep. That sets up multiple bring down targets and can stall them out if they don't happen to coin flip out of the sleep, or switch out, or evolve through it. Like if they're just sitting there asleep and Frostmoth can just go like, yep, 20 to everything, 20 to everything, 20 to everything. You might get a bench wipe, or you might just go, hey, when Inteleon decides to start, doing his thing, it's just constantly taking KOs, so that's fine. Now, Inteleon does have a backup plan though. If one of your guys has the least HP, you can use its second attack, doing 110 damage to the active at the cost of having to discard an energy from it. It's a 1 energy attack though, so it's kind of fine. It's not as flashy, but it does give you a straightforward option when bring down isn't the ideal play. There's also a Mantine in this kit, which helps you set up your board with the Call for Family attack. It's not something new, we've seen this multiple times on multiple Pokemon, but it's going to grab you 2 basics and put them immediately onto the bench for just 1 colorless energy. Combos perfectly since we're going to be having 2 copies of Rare Candy in the kit, meaning you could potentially get 2 Sobbles onto your bench with Mantine, then the next turn just Rare Candy them into Inteleon and you're good to go. Now let's look at the trainers in this kit. There is quite a few that are repeats from the Meganium kit, but some new ones. We're seeing Dust Ball in here. You look at the bottom 7 cards of your deck, grab a Pokemon you find there, pop it into your hand. It's kind of weird, but like, it's kind of legit. You're only a 40 card deck, so like there's likely something on the bottom there. We're also getting the new Stadium card, Surfing Beach. It lets you switch your active water Pokemon with one of your bench water Pokemon, specifically water Pokemon. You can't be moving around to different things. It's great for pivoting your attackers. You can remove status effects with this, right? Because you're not manually retreating this. It's just like, hey, just switch these guys. So if you're in a mirror match and they go Frostmoth, put you to sleep, you just go, yeah, I'm just going to pivot my guys and good to go. So it's a great way to kind of like move your board around, and it can come up. And of course, the shared trainers we're seeing though, Buddy Poffin, Brock, Lily, so on. Now, for cards that if you pull extra copies of that I'd encourage you to include, I'm going to say Sobble and Drizzle are auto-includes for consistency. Mostly the Sobble, since you do have rare candies, you don't really need the Drizzles, and you've already got 3 copies of Inteleon in the kit, so like, you don't really need more Inteleon if you pull them. If you want to put it in there, you technically can. And if you want to lean more into the spread strategy, extra Frostmoth lines could be pretty solid. Like you could kind of just go all in on Frostmoth if you really wanted to. I'd still recommend keeping probably like a 2-1-2 line of the Inteleon in there, but you could do it. Other pulls to consider if you get them, Clawitzer in this set. Hope I'm saying that right. The thing hits like a truck, doing 210 damage for 3 water energy, so it's a bit of an expensive attack, but the ability lets you attach 2 water energy from your hand when it moves from the active to the bench, which combos perfectly with the Stadium card Surfing Beach. You can just kind of loop that around a couple times, and yeah, energy accelerations online, maybe have 2 of those in play, just switching between them, you're good to go. It's also going to combo amazingly with the new Kyogre we're getting, that for 1 water energy, you're going to shuffle all the water energy that are in your discard pile back into the deck and do 20 damage for each one you put back. So the Clawitzers, their attack's 210. I did forget to mention you discard the energy after it uses that attack, so you're quickly getting things in the bin, and then Kyogre is just kind of like closing out the game for a big number 2 and getting them back into the deck. So yeah, kind of legit. Now, as for the cuts, you can probably trim 3 to 4 water energy, since Inteleon and Frostmoth only need 1 energy apiece to actually use their attack. You really need space. The Stadium is also likely a cut to consider, but I do like having it just so you can kind of bump out Meganium's thing. Like Meganium gets that forest out, you're having a bad time, you don't want them using that every single turn, you just go like, no, bump that. When I knock out your Meganium, I want it staying knocked out. I don't want you going like, and it's back. Next up is Lunatone, and this kit's honestly pretty wild. At first I thought Lunatone being a single copy in the kit was a little bit of a ripoff, but honestly if they gave you more than 1, this would be just broken. Lunatone's ability, Lunar Cycle, lets you discard a fighting energy card from your hand, then draw 3 cards. Repeatable every single turn, and you can do it as early as turn 1 since it's a basic Pokemon. The catch, you need to have a Soul Rock in play for it to work. And Soul Rock is kind of similar. It can't attack unless you have a Lunatone in play, but it's going to do 70 damage and ignore weakness and resistance. Doesn't sound amazing on its own, does take out free evolution basic Pokemon, which is nice, and if you pair this with Garganical, which is also in this kit as a 3/2/3 line, it becomes an absolute monster. Garganical being on your bench boosts up your fighting Pokemon's damage by 30. And you can stack this, since there's 3 in there, that's an extra 90, so 70 plus 90, 160. That's a pretty legit number. That's taken out a Meganium and an Inteleon. I think the only stage 2 single prizer we've seen that's not taking out is an opposing Garganical. It's terrifying. The kit even includes a 1/1 Hariyama line. When you evolve into it, you're going to drag up one of your opponent's bench Pokemon into the active, so effectively boss's orders as an ability. It is on a stage 1, so a little bit awkward, but it means you can kind of have that sat on your bench and your opponent never knows, like, do they have the Hariyama? Are they going to gust me next turn? Like, do I need to be concerned? Am I in danger? So pretty cool. And it's not using your supporter for turn, so you can still be drawing cards. Now for the trainer cards in this, we're going to be seeing some slightly different ones. Fighting Gong popping up, it's very specific for fighting decks. It's going to search your deck for a fighting energy or a basic fighting Pokemon. Fuels both Lunatone's ability or just gets the Lunatone itself into play. Lively Stadium also showing up in here. It boosts the HP of your basic Pokemon and acts as a solid stadium bump against that Forest of Vitality. Plus, we have the usual suspects of Buddy Poffin, Brock, Lily's Determination, and the others on here. If you pull extras, I'd recommend including extra copies of Lunatone and Solrox as your first priority. Extra Fighting Gongs and Hariyamas or some Garganical lines are also great inclusions. Now for the spicy stuff, if you happen to pull a Marshadow, absolutely include this in the kit. This thing is a monster. For just 2 energy, it does 60 damage, which doesn't sound impressive, but it's a basic fighting Pokemon, so Garganical is pumping those numbers up. Plus, if it takes a knockout, it becomes invincible. It ignores all damage and effects on your opponent's next turn. So they basically have to gust around it, or Marshadow's just sitting there like, yeah, I can do this all day, and just keeps punching their active in the face. Mega Lucario is another one that combos amazingly with Lunatone. The first attack does 130 damage and accelerates 3 fighting energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon in play, however you'd like. It's exactly what you want after pitching fighting energy with Lunar Cycle. Its second attack hits for 270 damage, which is pretty busted for pre-release, but you can't use it turn after turn. Still worth it though, in my opinion. Some other good inclusions would be if you happen to pull a Tyrogue. It's a baby Pokemon, so it's got free retreat, and it's got a free attack. The attack does 10 base damage, but you're going to flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads you get, you're doing 30 damage. So effectively, you could just hit 100 heads, and you're taking out anything. Actually played this today and had a pretty good shot at taking down a Kangaskhan. I was 1 coin flip away from getting the KO thanks to the weakness that it did. Also, if you happen to pull Premium Power Pro, it's an item that boosts your fighting Pokemon's damage by 30 for the turn. So it's like a temporary extra Garganical in play. For cuts, this kit is a little bit tricky though. You could cut maybe 1 to 2 energy. Since Lunatone can turn those energy into draw support though, it's not like ideal. Redeemable ticket being in here is also likely an easy cut in a 4-prize format. You're less likely to prize key pieces, and if you really need deck space, Drayton or Kieran are also cards you could consider removing. The big decision is whether you want to keep the Hariyama line. Having a gust effect is huge, but if you're looking for more space to add in extra Lunatones or Solrox, you might want to consider cutting the Hariyamas to add in more consistency. So here's my question. If you pulled this kit, what would you run? Are you going to go for the Hariyama for the gust effect, or do you want more attackers slotted in here? And last but absolutely not least is Alakazam, or as I like to call him, the Spoon Man. This kit is actually what I played at the pre-release today, and it was a blast. Alakazam has one of the best evolution abilities you could ever ask for. When you evolve up into it, you get to just draw 3 cards. Kadabra does the same thing, but just for 2 cards because it's, a little bit littler. But it is what it is, so as you're climbing the evolution ladder, you're getting more cards and building your hand size up. Abra even has a cheeky little hit and run attack too, doing 10 damage, then letting you move it to the bench, so you can just go like, hey, I want to sit on the bench so that I can evolve next turn and get myself some cards. Yeah, that's the right call, do that. Now, Alakazam's main attack, we did kind of skim over it before, but this is what the deck's all about. For just 1 psychic energy, you're going to put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon for each card you have in your hand. Now, it says damage counters, not damage, which means it doesn't get affected by weakness. So into like Lucario, you're not going to be able to go, hey, I have 10 things in my hand, I hit you for 400. Just not how it works. But it also bypasses resistance and even some damage reducing effects, so that can be relevant. The kit also comes with Xerneas included, which helps with setting up your bench. For just 1 Psychic Energy, you can get 3 basic Psychic Pokemon from your deck and pop them right onto your board. Great to get your Abbers out. The second attack on here doing 120 damage for 3 energy, but you can't use it 2 turns in a row. It's not perfect, but it can be useful as a backup when you're in a pinch. Jinx is another neat piece included in here, doing 30 base damage for 2 Psychic Energy, then 30 more damage for every energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Against Meganium decks, that's actually kind of sick, because they're doubling the value of all their grass energy. It's like, you have 2 energy? No, you have 4 energy. I'm going to do 150. It's 10 shy of taking out the Meganium, but it deals with everything else pretty effectively, and you can hit some surprisingly high. Now, to help with energy acceleration, the kit does include a 2/2 Grumpig line. Grumpig looks at the top 4 cards of your deck and attaches any basic energy you find there to your Pokemon however you want. Pairs pretty good with Cypher Maniac, since you can just look through your deck for any 2 cards, pop them on top of your deck. You go 2 Psychic Energy, evolve Grumpig, guaranteed getting those, and then maybe you hit 2 more from something else. So that's good. It's also a great way just to stack your deck and then go Kadabra, get 2 cards, or Alakazam, straight draw 3 cards. So if you're after a specific piece, Cypher Maniac is an amazing combo piece for both the evolution lines. The trainer lineup in here does also include Deduction Kit. You get to reorder the top 3 cards of your deck. You're going to look at them, see what you want to put on top, put the other 2 there, or you have the option to put 3 of them on the bottom of your deck. So if you see things that you don't want your Grumpig or your Alakazam getting into, you just go, yep, bottom. MC's Hype also showing up in here. You're going to draw 2 cards or 4 cards if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining. Now for the stadium, we're getting Mystery Garden. You're going to discard an energy card from your hand, then draw as many cards in your hand as you have Psychic Pokemon in play. It's a great way to fuel Alakazam's attack and refill your hand size. So if you have 6 Psychic Pokemon in play, ditch an energy, draw until you have 6 cards in hands. Seems pretty good. You can still play your supporter for turn after that, and yeah, that's pretty sick. If you happen to pull extra copies of the Alakazam line, I'd say that's a no-brainer. It's a really solid attacker that can just continue to scale up. Just be mindful of the resources you're holding in your hand. Kind of play liberally, right? Like, or not liberally, conservatively, like hang on to things so you can have that number going up. Don't play every single card from your hand just because you can. Extra Xerneas can also be great to help establish your bench really quickly. If you're going second, you want to make sure you're starting Xerneas and just get your board online. And extra copies of Mystery Garden is also great for the Stadium War against Meganium, and just to give you some solid draw power in a pinch. Other one-off cards to watch out for, the Shed Ninja line could be really neat in here. I wouldn't run it with the Ninjask. You literally just want the Shed Ninja, because its attack is just 1 Psychic Energy, then does 20 damage for each damage counter that's already on the opponent's active Pokemon. So it's perfect for finishing off things that Alakazam's maybe softened up, or Jinx took a hit into, and then it's just like, hey, Shed Ninja, they've got 100 damage. Go do another 200 to them. Yeah, bye-bye Kangaskhan. And if you get KO'd by an EX, your opponent isn't even taking your prize. So like, yeah, it's a great option to go into. It also has Free Retreat, making it a good pivot. Suspicious Watch is another fun one to watch for, and a tricky sentence to say. It lets you devolve one of your Psychic Pokemon, so it goes down a stage, and then the next turn you can just re-evolve it. So you can get more draw support off Alakazam, or get more energy acceleration off your Grumpigs. If you're looking for cuts, Psychic Energy is kind of where I'd lean to for this deck. Alakazam only needs 1 to attack, so you can likely thin that down. The Grumpig line, while being fairly useful, I feel like you can kind of cut it if you get more Alakazam pieces. Alakazam seems like the absolute powerhouse for this kit. The Xerneas and the Jinx are neat, but like not necessary. It's just kind of like, oh, is my Alakazam online? No? Okay, cool. I can lean into them. Like, I've already got an energy on Alakazam, just charge them up in the back end. But if you pull some other cards, Grumpig could be great to get them online, like some Mega Pokemon potentially. Deduction Kit is also an easy one to cut if you've got better options, like if you've got extra copies of different supporters, just pop those in instead. So here's my question though, would you be sticking with the Grumpig energy acceleration in this kit, or do you think you should lean into the Alakazam and just manage your hand size for huge damage? I feel like I've kind of given you guys my bias on it, but I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. Now, when you crack into your 4 booster packs, there are a handful of trainers that instantly upgrade almost any kit you'd be running. These are the ones that you should keep an eye out for and slot them into your deck immediately. Extra copies of Lily's Determination are just a chew-in. You've already got it in your kit, and this supporter is absolutely broken. Just draw 6 cards every turn. It's just like shuffle, draw. It's like, yep. If you're kind of struggling to cut cards, replace a Drayton, replace a Lacey. Lily is just an immediate upgrade over those cards. Another solid draw supporter that's in the set, wasn't in any of the kits though, is Lieutenant Surge. Lets you ask your opponent if you can both take a prize card. They say no, it's like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna draw 4 cards. So you're either getting card advantage or you're speeding up the game. There's also a few niche ones worth considering if you pull these. Wally being in the set, it lets you fully heal a Mega Pokemon you have in play. The cost of this is it does bounce all the energy back into your hand, which sounds a bit rough, but combos perfectly with Mega Venusaur and Meganium, so if you have that kit, it's great. And if you have some other Megas, it could be useful, like maybe they've eaten a few hits and you just want to hard retreat them, move them to the bench, fully heal them so your opponent doesn't KO them and you get 3 prizes. Could be legit. Mega Signal also being in the set, just letting you search your deck for a Mega Pokemon, put it into your hand, could be really useful if you have those. So if you don't have Megas, completely ignore those cards. Another niche use one is Ace Rolla. If your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards, it just denies them from doing any damage to one of your Pokemon in play with EX Pokemon. So you can go, hey, my Meganium, I don't want you knocking that out. I'm going to say it's protected. Or my Alakazam, like I hit you, I didn't take KO, but my Alakazam's immune to your EX. So next turn I win. Seems good. There's also some key staples from the standard format getting reprints in Mega Evolutions. First up being Boss's Orders. This is the go-to gold standard of Gust effects. Literally just, hey, there's a thing on your bench I want in the active so I can declare game. Instant include in any deck. Ultra Ball also seeing a reprint. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for any Pokemon, put it in your hand. Seems good. And Switch getting a reprint. It's pretty simple but really powerful. Literally the name of the card is the thing. Just switch, move your active to the bench or your bench to the active. However way you like to view it, you can do it. Now let's talk about the splashable Pokemon that can be included in any deck. These are the ones that have colorless attack cost, typically being basics or stage 1s with just 1 colorless energy to use the attack. So you don't really need to mess around with your energy base to, well, include them. Cinderace is a standout. If it's in your opening hand, you can play it straight to the active spot. Even though it's a stage 2 Pokemon, its ability just says like, yep, you can start this, which is kind of broken, has a lot of health and a solid attack, does 50 damage and lets you search your deck for 3 basic energy and put them onto your bench in any way you'd like. Early game, that's pretty ridiculous. If you don't start with it, it's not the end of the world, right? Like I wouldn't include the full evolution line for this. In the mid game, the attack's not doing enough, but if you happen to open it, that's cracked, especially because it's a fire type and it hits Chikorita for weakness, so into Meganium, you're taking prizes really early and establishing your board. Tyrogue is another auto-include. We talked about it when we were over the Lunatone kit. Got free retreat, got a free attack, and the attack can potentially KO anything. Seems good. Sometimes you'll steal a KO that you had no business taking, sometimes it'll do nothing. But honestly, even just having a free pivot option seems worth it to me. Mantine was included in the Inteleon kit, but if you pull this, it could be great for any deck. Call for Family just helping you establish your bench while having 110 HP makes it so it usually survives an attack. Then you can just hard retreat it and go into something else that you've set up on the bench using the Mantine. Ice Cube is another cheeky one. 1 colorless energy to do 20 damage, and you're going to flip a coin. If it's heads, you're going to paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon, so it can buy you some turns or potentially just paralyze them like 10 turns in a row and knock out something that you had no business knocking out, but you did it, and now your board's online, and you're having a good time, and your opponent's probably questioning their life decisions. If they can't get out of it, yeah, good times are had on one side of the table. Heliolisk being another similar thing to the Ice Cube. 1 colorless energy to use the attack, doing 20 damage, and applying a status condition. Trade-off, you don't have to flip a coin. It's just going to confuse them, so they have to flip a coin when they want to attack. Maybe they land in attack, maybe they take 30 damage. The trade-off of that though is it is a stage 1, whereas Ice Cube is a basic, so a little bit trickier to get it online. In pre-release, where switching is rare, applying status conditions like that can be an absolute game changer though. Like it can just steal you games you had no right in winning. Delibird is another great option that can be a lifesaver when you open with a bricked hand. For 1 colorless energy, it lets you search your deck for any card. And you can use this turn 1 of the game even if you're going first. So sometimes that's the difference between just sitting there doing nothing, or Delibird goes, hey, next turn I am at least getting a Lily, I'm getting a new hand, I'm getting to play the game. And last but not least is Lopunny, another stage 1 Pokemon, but 1 colorless energy to do 50 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Not always game changing, but in the right moment, it can let you pick off a pre-evolution before it gets online, or finish off something that's retreated and just avoided getting KO'd, right? Like if there's a Mega Pokemon and it's got like 30 HP left, Lopunny just goes, yeah, that's gone. Now, of all these great inclusions, if you see any in your pack, I'd say, yeah, keep them in mind, be flexible with how you're building your deck, and maybe slot them in. You don't always have to stick exactly to the kits, be a bit experimental. Now, let's talk about the Megas. Running a Mega in pre-release is a little bit risky. They can give up 3 prizes if they get KO'd, and remember, this is a 4-prize format, so if your opponent one-shots a Mega, they've already pretty much won the game. That said, a couple of them are strong enough to build around if you pull the full line. We're going to be talking about the evolution ones. So there's Mega Manectric, that's honestly one of the best. Its first attack does 120 damage for 2 lightning energy and makes it immune to damage from basic Pokemon the next turn. That alone shuts down that Lunatone and Solrock deck pretty much completely, right? Like they'd have to then set up a Garganacl and try and manually charge that up, and then you just try and knock that out before it's a threat. But their Solrock is doing nothing to you. Not to mention, it doesn't even hit you for weakness, so even if you haven't used that attack yet, they're only doing 70 damage, so you're kind of fine. The second attack doing 200 damage, and if you're willing to discard all the energy attached to it, you can do 330. So you could be one-shotting their Garganacls or one-shotting a Mega Pokemon. Seems pretty good. It is a little bit risky, but can be devastating if it works. The other Mega I would consider building a deck around in pre-release is Mega Abomasnow. For 2 water energy, you're going to discard the top 6 cards of your deck, and you're going to do 100 damage for each water energy discarded. In pre-release, you can just jam in a bunch of water energy and have a couple trainers to make sure you can get this online effectively and just nuke things, I guess. Its second attack doing a flat 200 damage and reduces the incoming damage it receives by 30. If you pull this line, it can basically just be your whole deck. Other Megas can technically work, especially if you pair them with something like Grumpig to accelerate some energy out, but honestly, the risk reward isn't always worth it unless you have the perfect support package for it. I'd be careful about running them. So that pretty much wraps up what you need to know about the Mega Evolutions pre-release. There's 4 kits, each with their own playstyle, and a ton of exciting pulls that you can get to level up your deck. Now remember, pre-release is meant to be fun. It's a level playing field event for everyone to participate in and enjoy themselves. Everyone's going to be building a deck with the same card pool, so new players and veterans alike can compete on a level playing field. Now, if you've stuck around with me to the end, let's talk about those bonus packs that I teased earlier. Just like I'm thanking you for being here right now, event organizers thank you for sticking around and actually playing through the pre-release. That's why stores give out bonus booster packs at the end of the events. It's a great way to encourage collectors to actually try playing the game and helps grow the community by getting more people hooked on actually playing the TCG instead of just cracking packs. Oh, and before you go, if you want to keep track of all your cards that you pull at a pre-release event or just organize your collection you already have, I recommend checking out the Rare Candy app. It's completely free and it's the best way to manage your collection digitally. You can track your playsets, see card values, build wish lists, and plan out your trades ahead of time. Basically, it takes the stress out of figuring out what you've got and what you still need. I'll drop a link in the comments down below, so if you want to try it out, you can give it a look. Alright, now that's it from me today. I hope this guide helped you out, and if it did, make sure to hit that like button to let me know, and subscribe to keep up with the content. But I want to hear from you. Which one of the kits are you most excited to play at the pre-release, and did I kind of change your mind or your view on some of the cards in this set? Be great to hear from you. Also, if you get any crazy pulls, get alt art megas or pull off a crazy combo, let me know. I love when you guys share your stories because I get to see the different experiences everyone's having. But thanks again for hanging out and good luck at your pre-release. I'll catch you in the next one.